We've now cut our blanks for the wig stand, and my next step in my process is using a 2-inch Forstner bit and drilling and this would be for the top blank, drilling about a 1/4 inch Forstner hole into it. That will allow me to chuck on it. I will do the same thing on the next blank, which would be the bottom. But typically what I would do is if I'm doing 5 or 10 of these at a time, I would drill all the holes on all those blanks. And I've even been known to do maybe 20 of them and then put them in stock for later on as I want to do my turning. So it's just a way of being consistent and being able to do it in production. I've clamped it using a clamp so that if it starts to want to spin, I'm not holding it with my hand. I'm going to check and make sure that it's on center. I am running now at about, I'd say, 400 or 500 RPMs for this wood. I'm going to go ahead and just, it's not real important how deep you go. That will be plenty deep to hold on to the chuck. The next step that I do is drill a 2-inch Forstner bit into the base, and that has to go to a specified depth. And the reason for that is this particular mechanism or this screw will go into the into your spindle, and then you have this stub that sticks out, and I will use that to tighten everything in. So usually it needs to go about, you can see it needs to go about that deep down in. So I'm just going to eyeball it. I can see right here that I've changed the depth on here, so now I can go to that depth there, and it should be plenty good for what I need. The next step in my process is to drill a hole so that a dowel rod can go into the top. This is this is the top. This dowel rod will go in here, and we want it to go in probably about halfway into that hole. This particular dowel rod is a 5/16, and I do have a 5/16 inch drill on here. Whenever I do this, I take it within about a 1/4 inch of the bottom, or I should say the top of the wig stand. I just don't want to go through it. That way I got plenty of space. Even on these small pieces, I still use a clamp, mainly because it will start to spin and get away from you. I have changed the speed on the drill press. Just go ahead and drill it. My next step is to drill a hole the whole way through the base in the center, right there, and that is going to accommodate this stud right here. As I may have explained before, this will be put into the spindle, and then this will go in like this, and it will hold the spindle in place. That way I can use multiple different size spindles and be able to turn a little bit faster. So I'm going to go ahead and drill that. I need to make sure that it goes the whole way through, and it's going to go the whole way through here. Line it up. And I still go ahead and use a clamp on it because it can still want to get away from you even with a small drill. And like I said before, I do multiples at the same time. So I will do my next one. And that allows me to do a whole bunch at one time. We're now into another phase of making my wig stand. What we're going to do now is drill a hole in both ends of these. One is going to be for accommodating the threaded stud here, and the other one will be for inserting the dowel pin. What's nice right now is that it really is not a big problem. Both of these take a 5/16 drill bit, so we can drill either end without having to change it. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to do the base first because it's going to be the top. Like I told you before, I don't usually turn the spindles. I usually find them. And this way, if you have a big spindle, you can put it in here or just about any shape spindle there is. I'm going to do this end. What's nice about this is it actually goes in, and that the end goes into your Morris taper, and it lines up very well and almost is perfectly straight. I don't tighten it up real tight because you'll damage it. And I bring the tailstock up, and if we're lucky, it's going to be centered in pretty good shape. Let's see if we're lucky. Oh, we're a little bit off. So what you can do is you can just push it just a little bit, and it usually bends over and gets in there. So let's look at it, put that brad point right in there, and see how close we are. Let's turn it on. That's close enough for what we're doing. Go ahead and drill a hole, and we need to drill about that far down in because of the point that we're using. Let's go ahead and that should be plenty deep for what we need. Back it the whole way out. Now, without taking it out of the press, turn it off. Turn your speed way down. And with this being in here, in your lathe, it's a great time to go ahead and put this threaded rod in here. Now, go ahead and get it started. Clamp it with a pair of pliers. I do not worry about it because I know that this first little bit, I'm only going to be using this much of the threads up here, maybe at the most down to here, so I can grab a hold of it and it's not going to hurt anything. Let's go ahead and just turn the lathe on and it'll thread it in by itself. And that should do it. What I typically do is to make sure that I'm okay, I will slide it over to make sure I got enough threads, and you can't see it, but there is enough threads in there. And the way you could do that is you could go like this, and you could see that you got enough threads sticking out. Let's turn it around. Since that part's done, let's go ahead and drill a hole in the part that's going to go into the top of the wig stand. That thread rod will go right into your Morris taper. Do the same thing. Don't tighten it up too tight, otherwise you'll damage your wood. Just enough to hold it. We don't need the pliers anymore. Let's go ahead and see how close we are. I can see that we aren't lined up. There it is, lined up. Go ahead and push that in to make sure that it's going to work. Let's look at it. It's going to be close enough. Turn up the speed. Having a nice black walnut spindle it drills so nice. And that would be it. And your dowel rod would be glued in like so. let's go ahead and remove this drill. Now, let's take it apart, and I want to show you how it's going to go together. It's going to go together like that. The dowel rod's going to go in. You can see how it goes in. If you have a little bit of spill out of your glue, it's really not going to make much difference. And then the bottom goes on like so. And you tighten that up, and you now have a finished wig stand. Do an expansion on it. Make sure it's up nice and tight. Adjust my tool rest. Now, you'll notice that I'm using a curved tool rest, and the main reason for that is, again, if I'm doing a whole bunch of these, I want to just use a curve, and it's a little easier for me to make the cuts. I'm going to check the speed of this, of the lathe. And you can see it's wobbling. I don't know whether you can see that on here. It's wobbling quite a bit. So I'm going to try and take it back off and realign it, see if that'll help. Most likely the reason for that is whenever I drilled it, the table wasn't perfectly straight, or I had some dirt underneath it. But that's not going to harm it. We won't touch the back side. It's not going to make much of a difference. Nobody will actually see that much wobble whenever we assemble it. I'm just going to be using a fingernail gouge on this. I'm going to turn up the speed. And I'm a little bit high. Now I'm going to do is start going on the center and taking some material off. Let's turn it up a little higher. Get out of line of fire so I'm not getting chips all over me. And if you want to, you can come around to the side and cut this way so you aren't getting chips on you. I'm going to move the tool rest in a little bit closer. Turn up the speed a little more. Do a nice curve on it. A little high right there. And typically what I do is I put a little bit of a flat right here. Go ahead and do it downhill. If you notice I was cutting uphill, you don't get as good a cut, but it's a little easier to do. Clean that up so I don't have a sharp edge. Come in, I'm going to use 120 grit sandpaper, and because I'm going to be painting this or doing pyrography, I'm not too worried about it being outstandingly smooth. If you were going to stain this or have a natural finish, then you're going to want to sand it a little bit better. But I'm just going to take the nervous marks out of it. do my edge, and I sometimes just touch it just a little bit in the back to make sure there's nothing bad on there. And our top is done. Let's take a look at it. Good shape. Let's go ahead and take it off, and let's go ahead and do the bottom. There's what it looks like. Let's set it over. Now we're going to do the bottom. Same thing. Put it on. Expansion chalk. This time it's a little thicker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the edge first, but I'm going to change tool rests. What I'm going to do here is straighten out this edge right here. Turn it down, turn it up. And if you notice, this one runs a lot more true. So obviously, whenever I drilled the top, it had dirt or something underneath it. You can see the hole that was put in there whenever we drilled it. That'll be for the stud that we'll put in there, that threaded rod. All I'm doing now is just rounding this up so it's nice and round. And turn it up a little higher. What's nice about this, you can do it all with one tool if you want. You can do a lot of things on this. You can curve it. You can put indentations on it. The design is up to you. What I'm going to do on this one, I'm just going to do a slight round on it because, again, I plan on doing pyrography on it, and I want that to be round so I got lots of surface to do the pyrography that I plan on doing on it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this. I could get the other. I'm not going to go the whole way in, so I really don't need the round or curved tool rest. I'm going to go ahead and go this direction, and on my final cut I'll excuse me. I want real gentle curve on this right here so that I can do the pyrography that I want to do. And we'll come down to a nice flat right there, and a flat on the top. So that's all there is to it. Now let's sand that down and get rid of nervous marks like we did before. Go ahead and sand the top a little bit. And there's the bottom, totally done, ready for finishing. So now we got the top and the bottom. There's what they're going to look like here. The embellishing that I plan on putting on this is a spiral. It's a spiral tip. I don't know if you can see it. And I'm going to do a spiral, and then I'm going to paint it. I'm not sure what color I'm going to paint it. I might do a solid black, solid color. I may do a dry brush technique, a lot like what Rick Cannon does. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start on it. I'm using what is my burner, and it is on. It should be set at the right temperature, and I'll let it normalize here for a second. It should come up red hot. You can see it's turning red hot. I have a vent system going on, so it should suck all the smoke out, and it's going to the outside. So, next, what I'm going to do is brush out all the ash. So I'll take a picture of what it looks like with all the ash, and then I will brush it and let you see what it looks like without the ash. I'm using this soft wire brush. It's brass, very fine. It's usually used for jewelry, but by brushing it, it removes all of the ash that's here and allows the pyrography or the branding to show up more. So what you do is you just use this brush and brush it off. As you notice, I put gloves on. The carbon black gets in your skin and your hands smell like a Boy Scout campfire. We're now moving into the finishing phase of this. We've turned it, we've started to assemble it. We got the top, the bottom, and our component pieces. Why I do it this way, put a thread stud in it. If I was to use different types of spindles, I could put just about any type of spindle I wanted into this, and it would still work. And the same way with the top, I can put the same spindle in any way I want, and that is very, very secure. So, next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and attach it on the bottom, because then that allows me to work with it easier. So I'm just going to put it on, and if you look real close, you can see the stud, the stud right there. To put a washer on it and start thread. Now the nut that I'm using is a lock nut. It has a plastic on the inside, so it won't come undone. So we'll turn that in and make sure it's good and tight. And again, why I do that is if you put just a dowel rod or try and fit it in, it's just not as rigid. I mean, that thing, you could drop it and you have to split out all the wood on it. Next is to do the top. And let's go ahead and put the dowel rod in the top now. Let's see, make sure if I can get the glue out. There we go. We'll just go ahead and put some glue in. There's plenty of space in there to push the glue back out. So I'm going to put glue on it. And then go push it down in. And get it down in good. Give it a good twist. And I'm not too worried about the glue right there, because where it's going to go later, nobody will really see it. Put some glue in the hole here, and a little bit on the dowel rod, and let's go ahead and put that in. Now, as you push it out, you can see that it squirts out. Not a big deal, just wipe it off and call it a day. What's nice about doing it this way, by the time you paint it or do anything else to it, you basically you'll never see that. And there's the finished. It's finished. Now what we got to do is paint it. When I paint these, I like to work with have the whole base one color and this the same color. And what we found in working on these is best thing to do is just to stain everything or make it the whole thing a black and let it soak in. And that way, if somebody chips it or drops it or scratches it, it is in the wood so far that you'll just have a little bit of a black streak rather than a white streak. So for doing that, we typically just use a little bit of India ink. And there's many ways we can put it on. This particular, and it makes a mess. So that's why I got it on this paper. This particular paper has a wax background or a plastic background and does not soak through. So that is why I got it. And obviously I got an old apron on it. So let's go ahead and put it on. And like I said, this makes one heck of a mess. So there's what it looks like. It's ready for painting. For speed and ease, I typically paint whenever I'm painting the spindles, I will paint them on the lathe. And because it still has the recess in the bottom, I can rechuck it. So what I'll do is turn it on very low speed, and it already has one coat of paint on it. And what I'll do is just take a little bit of paint and speed it up here just a little so it goes on a little bit faster. And I typically put it on this way. And because I like to get them done relatively quick and let them dry so I can get 2 or 3 coats on it, I use a camera holder that I use for my camera. And I just put a small fan on it and move that out like so. And make sure the air's going on it well. It is. And I just turn the lathe on nice and slow. And walk away for about 5 minutes and it will be dry. We're now in the phase of painting the wig stand. We have painted the spindle, or I've painted the spindle here. On the lathe, put at least 2 coats of paint on it, in some cases 3 coats. And then, so what we're now going to do is paint the top and the base. What I tend to use, or what I use here, is this General Finishes lamp black. And here's a tip for you. I don't use enough of this paint it usually goes bad on me. I buy these little 4-ounce jars, 8 of them. You can buy them on Amazon. I forget how many you get in a big package. It runs about $30 for like 40 of these things. So anyway, I put the paint in there, label what it is, and then I can keep it almost indefinitely. I also after I pour it into a small container like this one right here, I put some extender on it, a water-based finish extender. This is called Enduro water-based professional base finish extender. What it does is it slows down the drying time and thins it out so I can get it down into the cracks a little bit better, or the crevices, so I don't lose a bunch of detail. That's just a trick that might help you save on some of your materials. I've already put one coat of paint on this, or one batch of stippling. I'm going to put a second coat here for us. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to take it, and what I do is I typically put it on the paper here so I don't glob on too much paint at one time, because you just don't want to paint to put it in. We're not painting a wall. We aren't trying to fill cracks. We are trying to just change the color and make it all even and nice and work it into the cracks. So what you do is you make sure it's pretty thin, you don't use too much, and you just kind of, you either dab it in, or because these are nice spirals, I tend to go like this and spiral it in and do the whole surface. You do it very, very lightly, and you can keep putting coat after coat on, almost do it. By the time you work your way around the whole way around, you can usually start and do a second coat right over top, because you're putting it on so fast, and it will dry very, very fast because you're putting it on. You're almost using what's called a dry brush technique. Now, all we got to do is let this dry. What I do is I cut a piece of plastic pipe, make sure there's no dust on it, and this type you can see just fits in there. I can turn this over and set it on there, and yes, it was painted on the inside, but nobody's going to be really paying much attention to that anyway, so let's go ahead and set it on there. And as you can see, it does wobble, but my gosh, it's pretty stable. I'll try and save this, make sure that I don't need it for future use here. I might have something I have to come back and touch up, so I'll leave that. I'm going to leave this to dry for several hours, probably overnight. Piece of dust. Overnight, and we will finish it up later. The final process of the wig stand, we finished it up. It is painted, ready for finishing. One of the issues with wig stands is that they put a damp wig on them. They may even wash their wig and put them on here to dry. So therefore, it needs to be waterproof. In order to make it ensure that it's waterproof, I usually spray it with a clear satin products such as this Rust-Oleum here. I will do that off camera. It'll probably have 2 coats on the top and 1 coat on the bottom and 1 coat on the shaft. I won't put any on the bottom, and I'll probably put some, there'll be some on here. After that, after I put those coats on, I'm going to be using the silicone dots. These are 3M silicone pads. They are self-stick, and I usually put 5 of them on the bottom, so that whenever somebody uses this, it doesn't either scratch, and it's typically flat. That way, if they put it on fabric or anything, it's going to sit perfectly fine. You'll end up seeing that I will put a tag on it with my name on it as the final step. So I'm going to go do that, and then I will take a picture of it and use that at the end of this, and it will be all done. And hopefully somebody really enjoys this particular wig stand.